What ifs this fall? What if this happens? What if that happens? Some healthy hypotheticals here tonight. What if a college football playoff is made up of teams from not just Texas and Florida, but Texas, Florida, and California? This would be earth-shaking. This would be such a huge deal. Nice graphic, Jesse. Wow. Or maybe Bradley made this one. Colin punched it. That's all I know. So let's just say it's 2015. Because FSU made it in 2013 and 14. I think those were like the first 2 years of the playoff. However it worked. So let's go back to like 2015. What if I walked up to you and I said, friend, I've got a proposition bet for you. I'm all ears, you say. I said, between now, 2015, and 2022, only one team from those three states combined will make the college football playoff. Texas, California, and Florida. Only one team out of all of those states combined will make the playoff. How deep would you have to get down the list before you got to TCU? Because that's the only one that's done it, and it happened last year. It hadn't been USC, it hadn't been UCLA, it's not Miami, it's not Florida, it's not FSU. From that point on, it wasn't FSU. It's not Texas, it's not Texas A&M, it's TCU. So all of a sudden this year, we've got opportunities in all these states. Florida State is right up there, either having or sharing the odds-on favorite title to win the ACC. We got USC flat-out favored to win the Pac-12. We got Texas flat-out favored to win the Big 12. I don't need you to come in the comment section and tell me how often Texas has been favored before and fallen flat on their face. I don't need you to tell me that, because this piece of paper, courtesy of producer Jesse, tells me that 6 different teams have won the Big 12 since the last time Texas won it in the year of our Lord 2009. Honestly, I can't believe that's a real stat, but it is. So what would happen if this went down? Well, it would turn the sport on its ear. I mean, any one of them, just Texas being in the playoff would be a huge deal. Just Southern Cal, just Florida State or Miami. I don't know how in the world Florida makes it this year, and they'll take that as me ganging up on them. I'm not, guys. Your over-under's 5.5. But why not? Throw the Gators in there. If they're in that playoff, it's been a pretty exciting year. And also, we got first blood. At least we got fresh blood. In some cases, it would be first-timers there. This would be a massive deal. And then you younger kiddos out there would get to experience, sitting there next to Dad on the couch, you get to experience something that we got to experience once upon a time. Texas, under Mac Brown back then, Pete Carroll's USC. Hey, man, we sat on the couch once and watched that. Once upon a Saturday, those were some dominant programs. Don't even get me started on what Florida State versus Miami used to mean. And it could again. Next up, we're going all the way to the West Coast for this one. Roland asked, what if DJ Uiagalelei has a Michael Penix-like turnaround at Oregon State? Well, what is a Michael Penix-like turnaround? Some of you may have had a little shaky memory from last year. Remember, Penix was at Indiana, injury-prone, turnover-prone, and so he transfers to Washington, and approximately nobody makes a huge deal about it. And then all of a sudden, his completion percentage goes up 12 points. He's got over 4,600 yards passing last year, threw the ball 554 times, and is right in the thick of the Heisman race, and resurrects Washington football. And he's back this year, by the way. He was out at Elite 11 a couple of weeks ago. We were out there watching him throw dime after dime after dime. Well, what if DJU does this? Well, I don't think that there's any world where DJ throws the ball 554 times this year. Oregon State threw the ball 323 times last year. Completion percentage, though, you get DJ up around 65%. You're probably giving Oregon State everything they need to win because they're returning a lot of really good pieces. And keep in mind, that's not a 5-7 team from last year. Again, those of you with the shaky memories, Oregon State, 10 wins last year, and another 2 losses were by a combined 6 points. They only got beat by double digits once. They were right there. They were right there at the end of it. If they have a former 5-star number 1 overall quarterback in the country play up to his potential, and then they surround him with a really physical, sound football team and an extremely underrated coaching staff, they can win the Pac-12. That's the answer. They could win the Pac-12. They have currently the 5th best odds to win the Pac-12. Yes, that's right. All right, third, and I will just be real with you. I'll take a sip from the chalice first. I'll be real with you. This is a what if that's taken us way out on a limb. But why not? We're going to do it for Kent. So Kent asked, what if North Carolina's defense improves to an acceptable level, with Drake May at quarterback leading the offense and Chip Lindsey, the new offensive coordinator? Well, it would be really big and they could win the ACC. That's the answer to the what if. Now, my response, Kent, who is not here to defend himself, would be, how? How's this going to happen? They allowed 28 plus 9 times last year. They were last in the ACC in pass yards per game, points per game, sacks recorded. They were bad. They were terrible. One of the worst defenses in the country. They lost 15 kids to the portal, 5 corners they lost to the portal. So, yeah, what if is a fun game. We like to keep it in the realm of believability. Like, what if the softball team won 4 in a row tomorrow night? We would be champions of Smyrna, Tennessee. That's what would happen. JP, Angels in the outfield, it could happen. We could win 4 games tomorrow night. North Carolina being a respectable defense this year. And if they need bulletin board material, I'm giving it to them free of charge. That's a bridge a little bit too far for me to cross. If you're listening on podcast and you're a Tar Heel fan, count your blessings. Because if you're watching on YouTube, the harsh reality is graphically staring you in the face. And the thing about it is, you have Drake May at quarterback. You got a Heisman caliber quarterback there who, by the way, was their leading rusher last year, so we could stand to get a little better in the backfield. But man, if they could just be respectable. This is one of those teams where you say, could you just please be like the 45th best defense in the country? That would be enough. Again, a bridge a little bit too far to cross. Now, this one's going to rile some people up. I want you to remember, I'm so nervous I'm rolling around in my chair right now. Colin loves when I back away from the mic. I want you guys in Gainesville to remember, this is not my what if, this is Jason's what if. And he's got a blue check mark, so you better shut up and take him seriously. Jason said, what if Florida goes under 5.5 wins? Dun, dun, dun. Statistically, if you just look at the odds market, this is what their over-under win total is, 5.5. Okay, so statistically, Vegas would tell you there's just as good a chance they go under 5.5 as they go over 5.5. That's kind of how the odds market works. And this number's been on the market for a while, so you would assume the value's been pounded out either way. So the betting market, the sharpest minds in the betting community, view 5.5 as an accurate indicator of what Florida's preseason win total should be. Could they win 9 games? Sure they could. But just as we entertained that last show, on this show, Kent wants to know, no. What happens if the under hits? Please don't start talking to me about juice and actual percentages. Don't get that fine on the point. You understand what I'm saying. When Jesse put up the slider there, I knew what was coming in the comment section. I know what minus 150 means on the over. Quiet down, people. Let's just pay attention to the broader point. If Florida goes under 5.5 wins, all rationale will have been tossed out the boxcar. It's an interesting way to phrase it, but it will. Rationale meaning there are a lot of people who are sitting here right now with us in June, late June. There are some people who are listening to me on Friday morning, and you're driving down I-95, knowing how 95 moves right now, probably not very fast. And you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, if Billy wins 5 games this year, I'm going to convince myself now, then I'm going to give him a 3rd year. I'm going to be willing to be patient. It worked with Norvell. It'll probably work with Sark in Texas this year. So I'm going to be that loyal soldier that's going to wait and give him 1 more year. You could think that all you want to now. When you start racking up losses and you're sitting at home during bowl season, and you got folks calling for Billy Napier's job on message boards, and you got other coaches being fired, not being as bad as you were this year, you know what happens. And that's before the recruiting class starts crumbling. But that's where my mind immediately goes. Billy Napier goes 5-7. Okay. Well, terrible, but okay. What happens to this recruiting class? Because they're recruiting very well right now. And I think that's what would ultimately determine his fate. Well, that plus what the administration feels about him. They have not had 3 consecutive losing seasons since 1945, 1946, and 1947. So it would be historic. That's part one of the what if. Part two of the what if is they got the third ranked recruiting class in the country right now, and it'll be ranked highly no matter what happens between now and signing day, unless you go 5-7. And then we got to find out how many of those recruits stick. That would be the headline. That would be the headline around Florida football if they went 5-7 or worse.